Give y'all a little second, man. But what we here talking about, man, is our faith, man. Faith is what's going to carry us through these times to come, man. Right? This is why Yahweh Shah told us that we shouldn't store up treasures on the earth, no worldly treasures, meaning no physical possession is going to be able to carry us through this time, right? It's not going to be money. It's not going to be clothes. It's not going to be no bunkers. It's not going to be any amount of cases of water you might have saved up, right? Any doomsday room or doomsday bag you're going to have. The people that we be saved is going to be the people that the Most High deems to be saved, right? But the people that the Most High is going to be protecting through these times are going to be those who are faithful, right? So we got Hebrews, right? And this is 11:6, right? And it says, but without faith, it is impossible to please him. For he that cometh to Yahweh must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder to those that diligently seek him, right? So he's a rewarder to those that diligently seek him. But what? First off, rip, we had to say that without faith, it's impossible to please him, right? So if we don't believe that he is, we don't believe that he exists, we don't believe in the promises that he gave to us, we don't believe in the promises that he said that he was going to have for us, then nothing's going to come through, right? Like even with all through the scriptures, none of the miracles that we saw happen through the scriptures would have been possible without the brothers, the prophets, without them believing, right? That's why when you go in the book of Matthew, it says not to lay up treasures here, but lay up treasures in heaven. All right, because another name I was gonna have for the lesson was building up your spiritual bank account or building up your spiritual credit, right? In these times, in this time of grace, what we got right now, we're supposed to be building up our credit with the Most High. We're supposed to, the credit system that we have in this world is a little bit flawed, but I'm using it as a reference, right? We're using that as a reference because we're supposed to be building it up so it can be cashed out in these times that's to come, right? Because even when you look at it, simply believing, right? So believing that he's a rewarder of those that seek him. When you bring up the example of Passover, right? When we had to cover ourselves with that blood, and we have I'm gonna tie it back to the new blood that we had, but I'm gonna use the first Passover, right? When we had to cover ourselves with that blood, right? Or cover our doorways with that blood to cover ourselves from the oncoming judgment, right? We wouldn't have been covered, those who were covered wouldn't have been covered if they didn't believe in what Moses was saying, right? Because he was being the mediator or the mouthpiece for the Most High at the time. You get what I'm saying? So the mouthpiece for the Most High at this time and what we're going to be following, because the last lesson we had was looking for that shepherd. Our shepherd, our mediator, intercessor in these times is going to be the Holy Spirit. So right now what we building up is getting in touch with the Holy Spirit, being able to understand and learn when he's speaking to us, which is really just Yahweh Shah, right? We're just learning when he's speaking, learning when we're hearing it, right? So because it's going to come times where we're going to have to really believe. You right? It's not gonna seem like it's a way out. You think we in the valley of shadow of death right now? You're gonna see, right? You're gonna see when it's not no food in people's houses, right? You're gonna see when it's neighbor ravaging his neighbor house, right? You're gonna see when love starts to wax cold and people are gonna betray their friends for a slice of bread. I got a bug on my screen. I'm gonna let him rock, right? So I'm gonna bring let's go to Matthew. Shalom to everybody here, man. Let's go to the book of Matthew. All right. And we got Matthew 6. Right? And it says 6, what is that, 6 and 9? Okay, here it goes. That's 19. And it says, lay not up for yourselves treasures upon earth where moth and rust does corrupt, right? Where thieves break through and steal, Because that's talking, like, look, even with people building up they bunkers and all that right now, in these times to come, that's not gonna do nothing for you, right? Even myself, like, we have a generator and whatnot in case of whatever, but in these times to come, it wouldn't even be wise to use a generator. Imagine your whole block is dark and your crib is the only one with light in it, right? That's just gonna make you a target. So obviously the generator is not gonna be what's saving you. It's relying on the Holy Spirit, right? It's gonna be relying on that spirit. Some of y'all, when this really goes down and it crashes, you might not even be home. How you gonna make it back home? Say you on a train when it's time to go home. You know, we just got Spain and Portugal. It was a bunch of people stuck on trains, underground railways and all that. How are we gonna make it? We're gonna only have to rely on faith, right? Because we're gonna keep going. But lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust does corrupt, and where thieves do not break through nor steal, right? So remember when it said the Most High is a rewarder of them that seek him. The rewards that we could get is right now. This knowledge, wisdom, understanding, and more, the Most High is going to use his people to show these miracles through them, right? And I think that's Hebrews, where he's saying he's going to use our earthly vessels to show his glory, just like Yahushua, right? When he was in his earthly vessel, he was used to show the glory of the Father, what he could do as a man, right? Because if he was to just come in his angelic form off rip, it would be obviously amazing, but to show what he could do in the vessel of a man. So in these times to come, you're going to see certain brothers, their powers, their true powers, or should I say the power of the Most High, is going to start to really shine through them. When you see your average brother healing the dead, or should I say rising up the dead, healing the sick, right? Allowing the blind to see, right? That's all going to start to come through. Those are the rewards that we're going to get. And when those rewards are fully manifest, that's going to be the completion of this covenant. That's going to be the kingdom lifestyle that we're talking about right now, right? So let's keep going. And it says, for where your treasure is, there will your heart be also, right? And your heart is really just your mind. Anytime you hear the word heart in the scriptures, you really just thinking of your mind, right? So it says, you know, right, when it says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so it shall be, right? You can't think with this organ just pumping that's pumping blood throughout your body. You can't think with that. Your heart is your mind. So where your treasure is, that's where your mind is going to be. Meaning that's where you're going to rely to. That's where you're going to run to. We just simply being trained up to run to the Most High, to have him be our shepherd, to have him be our fortress and our rock and our horn in these times. You get what I'm saying? Because it's going to get more and more and more bad, right? Because a lot of people right now, because there's still people in these times relying on abundance, right? Because most of the brothers right now, even if you don't look at it like that, compared to the riches of this world, we poor in this world, right? We don't have it all. Some brothers don't got cars. Some brothers don't got cribs. You know, some brothers don't have families, right? But you have people that have an abundance of these physical things, and they're relying in that, right? So their heart is left in that. Like, oh, I'm going to have this. I'm going to have that. But what is that going to be? What is that going to do for you in the time of judgment, right? Let's go to Luke 20, or 12, I should say. So you got Luke 12 and let's say this, right? And it says, yeah, so we'll start at 16. And it says, the ground of a certain rich man brought forth plentifully. So that's these people that are rich in this society, the people that got millions and billions of dollars. These are the same people that's going to try to hide in their bunkers, hide in the clefts and the rocks during these times, right? Trying to hide from the judgment of the Most High, right? And it says, and he thought within himself, saying, what shall I do? Because I have no room where to bestow my fruits. And he said, this will I do. I will pull down my barns and build greater, and there will I bestow all my fruits and my goods. So you have a rich man who has more than enough. This is where we talk about building up your spiritual credit, right? Because it also says that charity, it covereth the multitude of sins, right? So it can cause you, but this man, this rich man in this sense, is not thinking of charity. He's not thinking of giving. You have more than enough, but you're not thinking of giving, right? Whereas alms or charity will be building up your account. Because also another thing in the book of James, how it says, faith without works is dead. If you faithful, If you faithful, then it's gonna show through your works. It's gonna show through what you do. Your faith, where your treasure is always gonna show through your actions. You get what I'm saying? It's always gonna show through what you do. So us being faithful, we don't mind giving our last, right? We don't mind being smited and turning the cheek, right? Because we got to deal with all this stuff in the society. We got to turn the cheek, right? We got to deal with being smited with the words of the people. You know, the people that call the doctrine foolish, the people that say what we're talking about is foolish. You know, some brothers is literally going to get smited, right? But us being faithful, our works is going to shine through that. So we don't mind giving our last because we know that the Most High can reward us. He will reward us 1,000,000 times fold. So we can give our last. We poor, but we can give to those who are less fortunate, right? Because even in the worldly terms, you can't say we the most fortunate, right? And fortunate as far as possession, worldly possession, right? So it says, I will pull down my barn and build greater, and there will I bestow all my fruits and my goods. So he's saying, let me build more so I can have somewhere to store all my stuff, right? And we're gonna go into that, talking about the in the book of Esdras, where it says the sown places will appear to be unsown in that time, right? You go to Walmart, ShopRite, all these different places right now, they fully stocked up. They got water, all the soda, all the Doritos you want. They got anything you want right now, you can get it. But in that time, it's not gonna be like that. That's when faith is gonna shine through. That's when the people who are really rich are gonna begin to show their wealth. That's when the real wealth is gonna show through, right? Now look, it says, and I will say to my soul, soul, thou hast much goods laid up for many years. Take thine ease, eat, drink, and be merry. That's what the world is doing right now. Just like how Yahweh Shah said that it will be, these times are like the days of Noah, right? Because people will be drinking, merry, and eating. People gonna be having the time of their life, especially those that have it, right? Even our people, most of our people aren't even really rich, but they still having the time of their life because they're eating and getting fat with the world. You can go to the club every night. You can eat as much as you want because, believe it or not, food is really cheap in this society, right? Even the poorest people can still afford to eat. Food is really cheap in this society. So you can eat, you can get fat. You would think, how are we the poorest people, but we got the highest obesity rates, right? But when I say getting fat in this sense, I mean getting fat spiritually. Meaning you get lazy, you get dormant. You get dormant, you're not staying fit. You're not exercising the spirit. You're not keeping it active, right? Because you laying dormant in this world, right? And it says, yeah, so soul, thou has much goods laid up. Eat, drink, and be merry. So all the people that are telling you have the time of your life, and this, that, and the third, you know, some of y'all savings accounts, y'all got thousands and thousands in y'all savings, millions in y'all savings, thinking that that's gonna save you in these times, thinking you're gonna be able to fly out to Dubai when everything gets crashing, right? And that's another thing I was thinking, right? On how people of this world, y'all not gonna be able to escape the judgment to come, right? One of the main places I heard a lot of people saying, oh yeah, you can go to Thailand and with a couple $100 and be living good over there, but boom, 10,000 people deleted in Thailand from an earthquake. Isn't that ironic? After Yahweh Shai said that there will be many earthquakes in diverse places, right? So that's across the world where some of our people ran over there thinking they was gonna have the time of their life, right? To go be idle. But you can't escape judgment. This whole world is gonna get judged because it's being put in dominion under the Most High, right? But Yahweh Shai is submitting this world under him right now, right? So you can't run from that judgment. You cannot run from it, okay? But it says, so take thine ease, eat, drink, and be merry. So everybody that's being merry, having the time of their life, okay, be merry. But Yahweh said unto him, thou fool, this night thy soul shall be required of thee. Then whose shall those things be which thou hast provided, right? He said there's no picture on the stream. Oh, that's crazy. Oh man, I hope y'all was hearing me. If y'all wasn't seeing me, fine, but I hope y'all was hearing me. Golly. Shalom though, bro. Nice to see you in here, man. Oh man, that's a little disappointing. But we're gonna keep it going. So while everybody was being merry and getting fat in the spirit, right? They don't even know the Most High is laughing at them. Said we can hear though. Okay, good. All right, well, I just turned the Wi-Fi. I'm not sure why it wouldn't be anything showing. What are y'all seeing? Is it a blank screen? Is it the logo? Dang. Sheesh. Okay. But we're gonna go, and it says, "Thou fool," right? Oh man, let me see if I can get this fixed. It says black screen. Okay. That's a bummer, man. I'm not sure at all what's going on. All right, I might have to rock out. I might have to just finish the lesson. So, and it says, right? So it says, "Thou fool," right? "Thy soul shall be required of thee." So that means it's time. It's time to meet your maker, basically. It's time for judgment. So what is all the money? What is all the cars? What is all the clothes? What is all the plane tickets? And what is all that gonna do for you when your soul is required of thee, right? And that's what we're doing. We're trying to build up that bank account, because even when you think about it in the worldly sense of credit and debit or whatever, right? If you're building up credit, you're building up credibility to the lender or the giver, right? Just like how the Most High is the giver of these spiritual gifts, right? So we're building up this credit in this time so it can be cashed in during judgment, right? But he's also adding unto us the skills so we can train ourselves up, right? Because these are the things that we're gonna need to be surviving. I'm gonna bring it in Corinthians, right? To show the things that we're gonna actually need to survive, right? Because it's not gonna be water. Remember the Yahushua, he said, a man does not eat off of bread alone, right? But every word that cometh out of my mouth. And understanding that he himself being the word and also being the Holy Spirit is going to be the one feeding us. He's going to be the one supping with us, right? So all the things that he's adding unto us in these times are going to be what feed us in these times. All right. Let's go to, what does that say? Well, I'm going to finish it. It says, "So is he that layeth up treasure for himself," right? "And is not rich towards God." Okay. And I know somebody, Rose said he couldn't